Meet Perplexity. Your team lead asks you to research 3 cities for a team offsite by the end of the week. You open Google. 40 minutes later, you have 12 tabs, 3 conflicting blog posts, and still no clear answer to bring to the meeting. That's exactly the problem Perplexity was built to solve. By the end of this lesson, you'll know what it does, how it works, and when to use it. Before we go further, what is one common challenge in online research? There's a lot of information, but it's not synthesized into a clear answer. Search engines struggle with complex questions. There isn't enough information available online. What is Perplexity? Perplexity is an AI-powered search engine that, unlike Google, reads its sources and hands you one synthesized answer, with citations attached to every claim so you can verify what you're looking at before acting on it. Let's see it in action. Compare this to opening Google for the same question. What did Perplexity do that Google doesn't? It personalized results based on your location. It read multiple sources and gave one synthesized answer. It searched more websites than Google would. So, Perplexity reads, synthesizes, and shows its work all in one step. But if that sounds familiar, you might be thinking of ChatGPT. Perplexity versus ChatGPT. Perplexity might look similar to ChatGPT at first. You type a question and get an answer. The difference is that ChatGPT generates from training data, without access to the live web. Perplexity searches current sources every time, and every claim links back to where it came from. You need to compare venue costs across 3 cities for next month's offsite. Which tool fits best? Google. It returns the most results to choose from. Perplexity. It searches the live web and cites every source. ChatGPT. It can reason through the comparison based on what it knows. Looking at the interface. Now that you know what sets Perplexity apart, let's look at how it's laid out and how to find your way around it. When you open Perplexity, you'll use 2 things consistently. The search bar is where your questions go. Threads store your research history so you can return to any search later. When you run a search, you'll see the sources panel on the right. Every claim in the output links back to where it came from, so you can check any figure before using it. You can click the menu at the top of any conversation to rename the thread, add a bookmark, or export it as a PDF, Markdown, or DOSX file. You'll find all your saved threads in the left sidebar, ready to revisit whenever you need them. Now that you know how Perplexity works, the next step is knowing when to reach for it. What's the biggest way Perplexity changes the approach to research tasks? It returns answers faster because it skips lower quality websites. It pulls from more sources than a standard search engine would. It collapses searching, reading, comparing, and verifying into one step. And That's the foundation of what Perplexity is and how it works. You've gone from blank search bar to a verified saved research thread, and that was just the beginning. What's next? Next, you'll learn how to mode for your task, because not every search needs the same approach. And knowing the difference is what separates a quick answer from a genuinely useful one. See you in the next lesson. Modes and controls. You open Perplexity and start typing. The answers come back fine. Usable, quick, good enough. 3 searches later, you realize you've been running everything on default, and the results could have been sharper the whole time. So, how do you make your searches deeper and more precise? In this lesson, you'll learn how to customize Perplexity with plans and modes to get exactly the results you need. Scenario: researching a team offsite. You're building the research case for a company offsite from the previous lesson. You need to get a quick overview of city options, compare costs and logistics in detail, find credible data to justify the budget, and revisit earlier research as new questions come up. What's most likely to happen if you use the same default settings for every one of these searches? Each search takes longer as the questions get more complex. The answers become harder to read as the topic gets more detailed. Perplexity starts pulling from fewer sources over time. Some searches return results that aren't deep or specific enough for the task. The same default settings applied to 4 very different tasks will fall short on at least some of them. That's what different plans solve. Let's go through it. Plan. Plans control your access level. Modes control how Perplexity thinks about your query, how deeply it reasons, which models it uses, and how it structures its answer. The results are sourced, synthesized, and ready to use. Plans control your access level. Modes control how Perplexity thinks about your query. Plans control your plans. What's available? Perplexity runs on 3 tiers. The free plan gives you practically unlimited standard searches for research tasks. Pro unlocks unlimited access to advanced modes, including Claude Sonnet and GPT-4, with no daily caps. Max goes further with the highest mode tier for heavy users. Plans control your access level. Modes control how Perplexity thinks about your query, how deeply it reasons, which models it uses, and how it structures its answer. The results are sourced, synthesized, and ready to use, regardless of which mode you're in. Best mode. Best mode, also called auto mode, is the default. You won't find a toggle for it in the interface. It's simply what runs when you don't select anything else. It handles everything from simple lookups to multivariable comparisons well. Best mode gets you oriented quickly, but some questions need more than orientation. They need the answer to be reasoned through before it's returned. Your team lead asks, Prague is cheapest, but is it actually the right choice given our flight connections, the team's preferences, and the timeline? What kind of answer does that question need? A faster, more detailed version of the cost breakdown already returned. A step-by-step analysis that weighs each factor before reaching a conclusion. A side-by-side summary of each city without a final recommendation. Reasoning mode. Reasoning mode thinks through the problem step by step before returning an answer. It's slower than best mode, but it's built for questions where the answer genuinely depends on multiple factors, competing priorities, trade-offs, and decisions that can't be reduced to a single data point. You now have 2 modes in your toolkit. The one you pick depends on where you are in the research, how much you already know, how complex the question is, and how much the answer matters. Filtering by source type. So, you know that modes control how Perplexity thinks about your question. Focus modes control where it looks, restricting results to a specific source type before the search runs. All of them are available on the free plan. Focus modes narrow the search space for Perplexity. Here's what each one does. Finance. Pulls from official company financial disclosures and market data. Travel. Focused on travel guides, booking data, and destination info. Academic. Filters for scholarly papers and peer-reviewed journals. Sports. Surfaces game scores, stats, and sports news. Patents. The best way to understand focus modes is to see them in action. Imagine the best way to understand focus modes narrow the search space for Perplexity. Here's what each one does. Finance. Pulls from official company financial disclosures and market data. Travel. Focused on travel guides, booking data, and destination info. Academic. Filters for scholarly papers and peer-reviewed journals. Sports. Surfaces game scores, stats, and sports news. Patents. Searches patent databases and intellectual property filings. The best way to understand focus modes is to see them in action. Imagine you need to check the US market before making any financial decisions for the trip. Instead of scrolling through news sites, you switch to Finance Focus, and Perplexity pulls directly from market data and financial filings. The same idea applies to travel planning. Instead of sifting through general results, switch to the Travel Focus, which pulls directly from booking platforms, flight data, and destination guides. Nothing else. Let's try it with the off-site cities. After using Travel Focus, what made that result more useful than a standard web search? The question was interpreted more precisely because of the focus setting. No manual filtering needed. Irrelevant sources were cut out before the search ran. Perplexity searched more websites to find the most accurate flight data. Results came from booking and travel sources rather than general websites. No hotel reviews, no travel blogs, no off-topic results, just flight data, frequencies, and costs from booking sources. That's focus mode doing the filtering before the search even runs. What's next? You now know it's not just what you ask. It's how Perplexity is set up to answer it. Next, you'll learn how to take your research further by organizing everything into one persistent space, so nothing gets lost, and every session builds on the last. See you there. Your Research HQ, 2 weeks into planning the offsite, notes in 3 apps, tabs you're scared to close, and a Perplexity history you re-explain every session. There's a better way to keep it all in one place, and it's called spaces. By the end of this lesson, you'll know how to set up a space, upload your own files, and query directly against them, so your research builds on itself. What a space is. A space is a persistent project environment inside Perplexity. It keeps your research threads, uploaded files, custom instructions, and collaborators in one place, so every session picks up where the last one left off. Without a space, every new thread starts fresh. You carry the overhead of re-establishing context, re-uploading files, and re-explaining priorities every time. Let's try creating a space. Click New Space in the right sidebar. Give it a name like Team Offsite 2026, and you're in. From here, you can add instructions, upload files, and invite collaborators. Creating your first space. But starting from scratch isn't always necessary. Perplexity offers pre-built template categories: technology, finance, people and ops, education, and more. For your offsite task, you can use the Trip Planner Pro template. Pick the one that fits, rename it, and it's already pointed in the right direction. Once you've chosen a template, you can add a custom instruction, a one-time framing that tells Perplexity how to approach every search in that space. Set it once and edit custom instructions, and every search inherits it automatically. As you can see in these settings, the custom instruction can be as detailed as you need it to be. Tone, format, priorities, constraints. In this case, it's set up as a travel planning assistant that asks clarifying questions, builds day-by-day itineraries, and includes local tips. Everything typed here runs silently behind every search in the space. Let's run a search with that instruction already built in. See how the template already knew how to structure around budget, logistics, and local tips. That's the custom instruction doing its job. Your framing was built in before you even asked the first question. Asking questions about your own files. Perplexity also lets you upload files and search within them. When you run a thread inside a space with uploaded files, it pulls answers from those files, not from the web. That's the difference. Your documents become the source. To see how that works, you first need a file. Let's ask Perplexity to estimate the offsite budget, then turn that into a file you can upload. Great. You have a file that Perplexity can read and answer questions about, using your actual numbers, not general web data. Let's put that to use. Now you can see which categories carry the most risk. The next question is, what to do about them? Specifically, where the budget can be brought down without changing the offsite team's spirit. Let's ask Perplexity. Specific platforms, price comparisons, and booking strategies, all cited, so you can verify before acting. Sources pointing you toward cheaper alternatives you wouldn't have found in a general search. And now, your whole team can benefit from it, not just you. Let's try bringing them in. Sharing a space. Once your space is set up, click plus to share it and add collaborators. They join with access to the same threads, files, and instructions you've already built, and just like that, your coordinator is working from the same files, the same instructions, and the same research you've already built. That's spaces doing what they're designed for. There are pre-built templates for other situations as well. If you're preparing for a job interview, the interview role-play coach template runs practice sessions and gives feedback based on your answers. If you're tracking competitors, the marketing analysis template keeps research, data, and notes in one place across sessions. Try other templates that fit your work. Now, let's recap the full process from start to finish. What's next? You now know how to build a research environment that holds context, works with your own files, and brings your team in without starting over. In the next lesson, you'll learn how to write prompts that get precise, structured, and useful outputs every time. Because how you ask is just as important as where you search. Let's keep going.